Hello to my YouTube and website friends. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Hervey from lifeistatrucker.com, where we specialize in CBL. It's called Creating Better Lives. That's my new intro. Okay. I got a special request from Vision 7771000. He wanted me to make a video talking about the challenges of a new driver on becoming a trucker. The first thing that a person should be aware of if you're interested in becoming a trucker is that the better your record, the easier it would be to find a job. Even if you have one serious charge over 5 years old, excessive speeding, DUI, it's possible to find a job. Out of tens of thousands of companies, someone will likely give you a chance. That's with one charge over 5 years old. The older it is, the easier time you will have. But even people who don't have anything on their record won't be hired in many times at the first company you call. So another thing that might be challenging for a person becoming a trucker is actually just finding your first trucking job, even if you have a great record. Again, keep in mind, there are tens of thousands of trucking companies out there. So don't let the first 1, 2, 10, 20, 30 that turn you down discourage you from continuing to try and find one that will open the door. Now, in addition to that, of course, you know what I'm all about is trying to figure out whether or not you are compatible for the trucking lifestyle. And I mean, that's just another whole long video. You can read about that on the website or watch the other videos. Basically, you need to look at where you are. You're finding out what trucking is about right now. And some of the other things are going to give you some more insight for you to determine on whether you're compatible or not. But don't just take the job. You do what you need to do. But if you just take the job because of the money they say you're going to get and not taking anything else into account, you could end up miserable. So make sure you're compatible. Which brings us to number one in the challenges that a person might have becoming a trucker. You might find that the amount of money you make in your first year is not what you expect. You might have been told you were going to get more. You probably was told that the average driver makes $38,000. You might have even been told $40,000. Your second year, you probably can easily make $40,000 a year, because if the company you're at is not treating you well and paying you that amount, you can go somewhere else if you kept a good record. But in your first year, a driver can make as little as $20,000. Now, the ones who go to a company-sponsored program are likely the ones who's going to make the lower range of the pay scale. That's pretty much just how it ends up. So if you go to trucking school or a third-party school or community college, it's going to give you the freedom to make more choices, which means you can choose a company that's willing to pay you a little more. That's how that goes down. There are ways to spend your time so that you can make money, extra money while you're out on the road. That's another whole conversation. Number two is home time. A new driver will likely be out anywhere from 2, 3, 4, even 5 weeks at a time, depending on what company you end up going to. And that might change a little bit after training. Again, it depends on the company you go to and how they're set up. So on average, you're probably going to be 3 weeks at a time. What that means, of course, is that if you're in a relationship, being away from home, you're not going to see that person as much. And what you want to make sure you do is be proactive and intentional about nurturing that relationship so that it doesn't dissolve. I think what happens in many cases when relationships go south is that there's less and less communication, or one person has a bad day, or something goes wrong and the person sees it a certain way and they don't talk about it. So you perceive an incident a certain way, the person didn't call, the person didn't just seem funny, and you make assumptions. And then because of your assumptions, you interact with that person a certain way. And y'all go back and forth with these thoughts inside your head, never talking about it. It's corrosive to a relationship. So you can eliminate that in two ways, generally speaking. First of all, by having the intention on nurturing the relationship and keeping the lines of communication open. Talk about stuff. And another way, of course, is when there's an issue, don't make assumptions about it. Don't keep it bottled up inside. And of course, don't assume the worst. Just because the person don't answer the phone don't mean the worst case scenario that you hear other people talking about. And especially, you need to communicate this with your significant other that's going to be at home when you're gone. Because especially if it's a woman, that's the only thing that they're going to hear from her girlfriends or whatever for other people is the negative stories about the clowns who did go out there and create a bunch of problems at home. So that does exist. You got to keep in mind there's over 3 million drivers. Of course, a certain percentage of them are going to be out there and not thinking about how their actions is going to impact the relationship, their families, their finances in the future. So, of course, you're going to have a higher level of awareness about all of that. So you're going to avoid all that drama, and you're going to nurture your relationship, and your relationship is going to be fine. You won't face that challenge. Number 3 is, what was number 3? And the third thing that some drivers will face is a problem dealing with their dispatcher. Another relationship that is ugly. Why is this? In many cases, the reason for the problem of getting along with the dispatcher is about a person coming into the job with a bad attitude. Which one? Both or either. Whether it's the dispatcher or the truck driver, if one person has a bad attitude, the other person has a good attitude, then it's going to be much better than two people with bad attitudes. And so your attitude has the ability to make your situation worse or make your situation better, regardless of the other person's attitude, and you cannot control the other person's attitude. So if you got a good attitude, then in many cases, it will reverse what would normally be a result of the other person's bad attitude. Just like if you got a good attitude, I'm sure you've met people and you step to them, and at first it's like they act like you just tried to rob them or something. But because of your attitude, you see that person's attitude change. And it's the same thing that's going to happen if you have a good attitude and you're dealing with this person in the dispatch office. That person will look forward to dealing with you. You got to remember that he or she is dealing with a lot of other drivers. And people, you see, they are the middleman. So they're dealing with drivers, and then they got to deal with people over them with expectations on them. So a lot of times their attitude might not be a reflection of how they feel towards you. Maybe they just can't handle the pressure in the job as well as you would if you were there, or as well as you think you would if you were there. So anyway, the bottom line is have a good attitude. Now, again, I said could be from 2 reasons, generally speaking, and that's having a bad attitude when you come in. Another reason that the relationship could be bad, or could be issues, or it could be a challenging relationship, is because of, I kind of mentioned it already, but you're just perceiving that person's attitude and as something toward you, and you take it personal. Then of course you're going back and forth and end up hating each other guts, and every time you talk to each other it's a problem. And believe it or not, you'll hear it when you go in the truck stops. Drivers do spend day after day stressed out, going back and forth with the dispatcher because of a corrosive relationship. You don't want that type of working environment. You don't want that type of environment, period. So focus on you and personal development, making yourself a better person. And that's going to have a positive effect on you across the board anyway. Now, if from the beginning you let the dispatcher know that you are a reliable person, dependable driver, you care about making your appointments on time, and that you view the relationship between you two as a team operation, and that it takes you to work together in order to get the best results for the company, for the customer, for you. So that will be playing in the back of their mind, and it could affect the way you're treated. Because any company will want to have a valuable person to remain. And if you just go there with an attitude problem, I'm not listening to you, complaining all the time, talking junk to them, putting them down, cursing them out. Figure it out. And so that's all I got. If you have specific questions, ask it in the comments or go to the website, lifeisatrucker.com, put it in the search. It's probably been asked already. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Good luck on your journey to becoming a truck driver. It's a great career if you're compatible for the trucking lifestyle. Remember that. Awesome career if you're compatible for the trucking lifestyle. Peace.